I think that's a difficult discussion. It always will be, because we're talking about the spirit in which people go about tasks. And that's a difficult thing to measure. And for me, in my process, in knowing that the obligation of the Rooney Rule had been met before they ever picked the phone up and called me, that spoke in essence to the spirit in which he approached the process. And so, whether or not the obligations of the Rooney Rule are met, we can answer yes or no and debate. But to me, it goes beyond that. It's that spirit. And that spirit is displayed in action. Oftentimes someone can stand up and proudly announce that they met the obligations of the Rooney Rule, but did they meet it in spirit? And his actions proved that out. He had met the quote-unquote obligations of the Rooney Rule prior to even picking the phone up and having a phone conversation with me. He was committed in spirit to a fair process. He was committed in spirit to not being a slave to time within that process. He was committed to looking at legitimate candidates. And as somebody that's in this competitive space, that's all we desire, regardless of background, ethnicity, or anything else. You want an opportunity to present yourself. You want an opportunity to compete. That's one of the beautiful things of sport. And I think that, in essence, goes beyond what's on paper in terms of the Rooney Rule. That's what I think about, that spirit in which he approached the process that was played out in his actions. So oftentimes when the discussion is brought up, quite frankly, I laugh when we openly talk about whether the Rooney Rule is met, because the obligation of the Rooney Rule is just scratching the surface in terms of that man. It was the spirit in which you go about it, that's steeped in competitive fairness, that has nothing to do with race or ethnicity. It's the same approach that he had when he talked about labor and creating an atmosphere that was competitively fair for those that compete, whether it's players, coaches, front office people, or otherwise.